Oh, hi there. Welcome to InsideTracks.co.uk. My name is Mike Bennett, and I'm going to take you through whether a horse is underweighted or overweighted in a market. If you like this video, please can I remind you to subscribe to the channel and like the video, or you can leave a comment telling me what you do or don't like about what I've said. So, underweighted or overweighted? What do I mean? This is not the amount of weight carried by a horse, but how much money has been backed on the horse compared to its odds, and is that more money than you'd expect or less money than you'd expect? So what we're going to ask the question is, how can you tell which your horse is? Is it underweighted in the market or is it overweighted in the market? And I'll go through that in just a second. So here I'm just going to do a few examples. Now, let's just start with the most simple betting situation you can have, which is tossing a coin. Now, we know that over time, if it's a fair coin, then there will be an equal number of heads and an equal number of tails, so long as we toss the coin enough times. Now, say we had 1,000 bets, all of £1, total market of £1,000. How much would we expect to be bet on heads, and how much would we expect to be bet on tails? And the answer is absolutely very straightforward. Yes, well done. We've all got it, which is half of the money should be bet on heads and half of the money should be bet on tails. And the odds of heads is evens and the odds of tails is evens. So that's a very, very simple situation. There's no argument about it. Over a period of time, you should always have, well, yeah, it's not going to be exactly the same, but over a period of time, you're going to have exactly the same number of heads as tails. And therefore, the money should, if people are rational and reasonable, because we all are, the money should be spread halfway. So now, let's have a quick look at two horses. Let's put in their odds, which is evens, which is 2.0, and evens 2.0. So again, if we saw a two-horse race where both horses had exactly the same chance of winning, we could work it out, and they maybe run against each other a couple of times, or everybody thinks that the odds are evens, then again, we would expect in a marketplace with a total amount bet on the market of £1,000, we would expect £500 to be bet on horse A and £500 to be bet on horse B. That's very straightforward, yes? However, horse races and exchanges don't work exactly as they should in real life with a coin toss, because there are two factors at play on an exchange. The first one is that out of that £1,000, we may well, or these 1,000 bets, we may well find that 600 people believe horse A is more interesting. However, those 600 people may well have £300 on the horse and £300 against the horse. So its odds is 2.0, but there's £600 on that horse. Now, the second one factor is that the odds of horse A will affect the odds of horse B, because at some point you're going to get more people saying, "Oh, I think horse A is going to win." Now, you don't tend to get that. You do tend to get that in a coin toss, but generally speaking, if someone goes for heads, someone else will go for tails. In a horse race, you could sometimes get people who just have a feeling, it's got blue silks, it's number one, whatever. It's got a good jockey on it. So what you'll find is that if this horse's odds, horse A goes down, then horse B will go up. And that, so there's an effect, even though you've maybe got a similar number of backers and layers on horse B, you can actually find that it's got higher odds or lower odds than evens. So there's two complications in the way in which an exchange works. So when you see an exchange and you see that there are two horses at 2.0, you wouldn't quite get that, but obviously and because there's not 100% rounding, but basically, if you saw a 2-horse race with even money for the 2 horses, and you saw that horse A, instead of having £500 bet on it, had £600 bet on it, and horse B had £400 bet on it, you would say that there's more interest and more money going for A, and that horse is overweighted in the betting, and horse B is underweighted in the betting. Now we'll just go to a real life situation, and we'll see how that affects how we think. So we're now going to look at the 13.15 at Cheltenham. It's a 2-mile 4 furlong novice chase handicap, and we have 8 selections, and we're going to look at this particular horse here, which is Spirit of the Games, and we're going to have a look at it and see what the situation is. So at the moment, the last price matched is 4.5. And we see that the volume, betting summary volume, which is 60,733, that's the total of all these bets here on this horse, is 60,733. That's what's been bet on Spirit of the Games. And the total on the event, the 115 at Cheltenham, is 203,000. Now, if you take that 61,000 and you multiply it by 4.5, you actually get 240 plus 30, so 270,000. So in this situation, you would say, because he's got 60,000 bet on him, and because his odds are 4.5, if we multiply the two together, we get 270,000, but there's only been 200,000 put on the race. So actually, Spirit of the Games is a heavily backed, a overweighted a horse. There is more interest in this horse and more money going on to this horse than its odds would tell you should be. Now, the important thing to remember is when you find an overweighted horse like this, and this is reasonably significantly overweighted, it means that more money is going into this horse, and therefore, when a movement happens in this horse, when the price starts to change, there's a lot of money going there. So basically, it takes more to shift it. So there'll be more money going on, more money being bet to back this horse, more money being bet to lay this horse than the average horse would expect, and therefore the movement of the price is more significant than if you had a highly underweighted horse, because an underweighted horse, by definition, has lower amounts of money being put on it, and therefore the same bet. So if I wanted to bet £3,000 on an overweighted horse, my £3,000 would have less effect on the market than if I wanted to bet £3,000 on an underweighted horse. And therefore you see small changes. This is rather like looking at an oil tanker. An oil tanker, when you change direction, it changes direction, but slowly, because it's a great big thing. If you've got a little underweighted horse and you sit, it'll be moving around a lot more, because the money going into it will move the market. So that's the importance of knowing whether your horse is underweighted or overweighted. So with this particular horse here, Spirit of the Games, we're what, 7 minutes away from time. We should begin to see the money coming on to this horse. Its last bet was 4.5. We could see now more money coming through in the last 5 minutes or so. And if that money pushes it this way, then that's the direction that this horse will go in. If the money pushes it that way, then that's generally going to be the direction it will go in. So what I look for sometimes in these races is overweighted horses that I'm looking to break out in one way or another in the last 5 minutes when decent cash comes in. So we could just follow this horse and see where it goes, but its last match bet was 4.5. We'll go back over to here and we'll do a little bit. It's 224 now, so it's another 20,000 on. We're 1309. We're getting towards the last 5 minutes. Now, obviously, there are three outcomes to the question: which way is Spirit of the Games going to go? It's going to drift. At which point, you want to see it drifting beyond its trading boundary. So if it drifts more than to 5, then you would start saying, okay, that's a drift that's going to go out. So you start laying it at 5 or 5.1. On the other hand, if it goes back in and it goes below 4.1 down to 4, then it's definitely going to go in further, and you should be backing it and taking money. Now, the looks of things, it's trading back now to 4.7, 4.6, 4.7. So that's coming back up to here. We've got another couple of points. Yeah, so I'm getting 4.7, 4.8. So we're beginning to see this drift coming, and if it goes beyond 4.9 or 5, then that's when we should be saying, yeah, this has got lots of money for it. It's come in a bit. It's probably come in quite a bit too much, and we should start seeing it drifting back out to about 6 if it starts to drifting that way, and we can make a bit of money on that drift. So that is the importance. I won't take you through this because that will or won't happen, and we'll just spend another 3 minutes watching the video, and you don't watch a video for another 3 minutes. But that's the importance of understanding whether your horse is underweighted or overweighted. When you are looking for changes in the marketplace, then an overweighted horse will move more slowly, but the direction it's moving in generally continues, so it doesn't jump around. If your horse is underweighted, it's exactly the opposite. Your horse will jump around more, and it's quite likely to go whoom and then back in and whoom and then back in, and you might well be on a bit of a roller coaster. And the betting strategies you use, this is a breakout strategy, because overweight, whatever way it goes, if it's going in that direction, you will want to continue, and you want to then bet that drifting or that shortening of the horse. With underweighted horses, when they're doing that, that's when you want to be scalping. That's when you want to be taking it at the top, backing at the top of the market, laying at the bottom, backing, laying. So, it will tell you a different strategy depending on what you know about that horse and how you would view it going forward. By the way, Spirit of the Game seems to be just sort of tootling along within his little corridor. Again, you could try and scalp this now if you felt that it wasn't going to drift beyond 5. Skeleton's good. Generally speaking, I've watched skeleton horses, and if they're fancied, they're generally good. I haven't seen skeleton horses run really bad races, and they often come out and do very well. So I would just from my horse knowledge, I think that this horse isn't going to drift out to 6 or 7, because it's liable to be a strong contender in this race. Okay, if you like this video, then please do subscribe, and you can have more videos on more different topics, and like it if you did like it, or leave a comment. Thanks very much. Bye.